y'all, welcome to Getting to Know. And today we are getting to know a very important lady in North Georgia. Her name is Miss Hilda Thomason. Miss Hilda Thomason, tell me a little bit about your 44-year career at the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds.
Well, I started in 1981 at the Georgia Mountain Fair. I was 25 years old and didn't know nothing about the fair other than going to the fair as a child. When I was little growing up, we always was so excited about attending the Georgia Mountain Fair because it was the only thing happening here in this whole North Georgia area. But over the years, starting here in 81, when I first started, we didn't have any concerts like we do now. We just had the Georgia Mountain Fair, which is a 12-day fair in August. And then we had a weekend in May for the Spring Festival. Then we had a weekend in October for the Fall Festival. And that was all we had. We had no outside events, going on the fairgrounds. We had no concerts in the music hall. I started as a secretary and then I moved on up later in the years as office manager. But when I first started, it was the president of the fair, which was Bob Anderson, Robert L. Anderson, and he was a volunteer. And he would come in 11 or 12 o'clock each day and he'd book the talent, in Nashville for the fair and for the gospel. Back then we did the gospel and the bluegrass and the country. We didn't do any rock or anything like that, but he'd get the talent booked and then we'd work on the brochures and we'd check in campers. And that was basically all that we did.
And Anderson Music Hall did not exist then, did it?
We had the music hall. Yes, we did. We built music hall down here. We moved down here in 1978 from the old high school fairgrounds. And the building, the first year that we had the fair down here, we had to have a tent, 1978. And then in 1979, we got the roof put on the music hall. We didn't have no sides on it or anything like that. It had the foundation, of course. And then the next year, in 1980, they completed it. So when I started here in 1981, the building was, brand new, completed, yes. And the campsites were completed and all. But we did take camping reservations and check-in camping and all and just had the fair. And basically, that's all we did, back in the early 80s. But then we started booking concerts. At Bob passed, I worked with him for a couple of years and he passed in the fall of 83. And then we started booking, we got a promoter out of Nashville that came down here to Hiawassee and visited with us and we talked to him about a series of concerts. So we started booking a few along and then we ended up doing season tickets for the whole season. We was doing like 7 to 10 concerts a year. And then Dale Thurman became the general manager here in 1986. And he stayed until 1995, and he left and went to the Greater Gulf State Fair in Mobile, Alabama, and he recommended me for the job as the general manager to the board of directors. So they hired me as the general manager in 1995, and it's been over 30 years that I've been manager. So we've accomplished a lot, and the fair has grown a lot, and I've grown with the fair, which has been a wonderful experience for me. We had 31 concerts last year and we've got 30 this year. And of course, we've added a couple of new events this year. We had the Mimosa Festival was new. We've added a new car show. So we just keep adding events, but counting the concerts and the outdoor events that we have, the rodeos, the car shows, the craft beer festival, the wine festival, Mimosa Festival, everything we've done here. We've probably got 65, 70 events going on.
Wow. We're going to take a break and we're going to talk about you personally.
Okay.
Because we're going to leave the fair and we're going to talk about what does Hilda really like to do. So hold on just a minute. Okay, we are back with Miss Hilda Thomason, and now we're going to get personal. We're going to really get to know a lady who was born where?
I was born here in Towns County. I was born in 1955. And there was a little clinic over in Young Harris at Young Harris College. It was Dr. Tanner. We didn't have a hospital here in Hiawassee. We did in 57. I know my brother was born here at the Chattooga Regional Hospital. Back then it was called the Towns County Hospital, but he was born in 57. So it was built just shortly after I was born. But I was born and raised in Towns County. I lived up on Highway 180 going toward Brasstown Mall. Mm-hmm. So I only lived like 12 miles from Brasstown Mall. It's called Soapstone Road going up 180. And as a child, we had so many neighbors. There was a lot of children. There's 4 children in our family. And then all our neighbors had children. And we used to just have the best time growing up together. We didn't know what a swimming pool was. We would dam the creek up and go swimming in the creek and just had the best time and played outdoors and had bicycles to ride and just really had a lot of fun growing up. And we was real close to High Show Falls and Anna Ruby Falls over at Unicoi State Park. And we used to go over there all the time, take picnics and go up Moody Hall. We knew a lot of people up in Moody Hall, and they'd go with us on the picnics, and we go over there to the state park and hike to the falls, and we'd have picnics, and we'd ride the boats over there and paddle boats, and just had a really fun time growing up. And would go to the High Show Falls and go in swimming up there at the falls, and just beautiful, beautiful foliage back in the mountains like that. So I really love outdoors, and we used to camp a lot growing up as children and all. And then I graduated from Towns County High School in 1973, class of 73, and we just celebrated our 50th year just not long ago being out of high school. But that's where the Georgia Mountain Fair used to be, at those high school grounds. That's where the old high school was at. And in the summertime, we would use that high school to have the exhibits and the demonstrations and all in that school there.
When we look back at the kind of life you lived, there are a lot of children who never experienced that.
No, they didn't. And they don't even know how to play. Being outdoors like that and being in the mountains and hiking and being with families and picnics and building fires, and that is such a wonderful, special life to get to experience all that outdoors. And a lot of children grew up in the city, and of course, parents worked, and they just never took time to let their children experience that. But our parents made us work. I mean, we had like 3 or 4 gardens. We had our own pigs. We raised our own hogs, and we had a milk cow. We knew how to milk. We knew how to can. We knew how to freeze vegetables and all. So it wasn't like we ever went hungry or anything. We had plenty of love and plenty to eat in our home, and it was a real special life growing up as a child.
I got to meet your mom. Tell me a little bit about your dad.
My dad was in World War II. He was in combat in Italy, and he was fighting on the front lines, and he got wounded, and he got his eye shot out in combat, and him and his buddy was trying to dig a hole to get in, and he said the last thing he could remember is big snow on the ground. He said he was spinning around in the snow after he got shot, and he could see the blood on the ground, on the snow, and he never did find his buddy. He was trying to dig a hole, and of course, they killed him, But he stayed overseas in the hospital in Italy for, several months before he was able to come back to the United States. But he came back on 100% disabled when he came back, and he passed away when I was 15 years old. But my mother lived to be 93 years old, and she raised 4 children. And when we were growing up, I mean, we didn't have running water in the house, and we didn't have bathrooms. But we survived. We had lots of good ways to survive, and probably better for you back then than it is what we have today,
And obviously, you learned your work ethics from your parents.
I did, no question about it. We all had to work. We got to play, and we got to do things, but we had to make sure we had the garden hoed. We had the wood in on the porch for the night. We had wood heaters, and we also had to make sure the cow was milked, and just chores that they made us do. And then they would let us go to the creek and go swimming, or go up and play with the neighbors, or they'd come down and play with us, or go fishing. We fished a lot growing up as children, up and down Soapstone Creek and up and down Moody Holler. We fished a lot. And so they let us play basketball or cheerlead or whatever we wanted to do in our sports in school, but they made sure that we made good grades and that we kept everything going in schoolwork, and then all of our activities that we got to do outside of the school, they allowed us to do all that. But at the same time, I'm glad of my work ethic, and I'm proud they made us work, because that's very important in life.
Now, was one of the things that's really important too in family, all these communities have so many amazing small churches.
Yes, they do. We have a lot of churches in Towns County, small churches. On the Baptist faith, my church is Mount Zion Baptist Church there on the Hiwassee River, and that's where my family is buried at, the ones that have passed on. But yes, there's lots of Methodist, Baptist, Presbyterian, you name it, it's all around us, and nothing wrong with that. It's just the way it is, And when you grew up in Bemidji, you had a church then. And my grandfather Taylor was a poet, and and eventually I'll get some of the information. They just recently, the Towns County Historical Society gave the history of my grandfather out here at the Recreation Center. He was crippled and was in a wheelchair. He had rheumatoid arthritis, and he used to sit in that wheelchair. He was a very smart man. He was raised up on Owl Creek, which is not very far from Highway 180, but he couldn't do anything, so he would sit and write all kinds of poems and history about the county and about the community and the churches and the preachers, and he wrote about all of his grandchildren, wrote a poem about each one of our grandchildren, and they just presented all that recently out here at the rec center, and it was just so interesting to hear all that and appreciate what our grandfather and the roots that we had, and then the same thing with our my grandparents on the foster side. I mean, they were wonderful people and worked hard and always provided, and just a great life, really. It really was.
Did they ever tell you about going to church in a wagon?
Yes, and I've heard my mother talk about going to church. There was a little schoolhouse there at Mount Zion Church, and I can remember her talking about going to that school. It was like a one-room schoolhouse, is what it was, and had a big pot-bellied stove in it. But that's how they did as far as going to church. That's what they did back then, you know. And I think she might have got an 8th or 9th grade education. It wasn't nothing anything big. And then I married into the Thomason family, Lane Thomason, and we got married in 1973. And we were married for 31 years. He passed away in 2005. He was very young. He was only 53 years old when he passed, but he got lung cancer, and passed 11 months after he got diagnosed. But his daddy was a minister here in Towns County. They were raised in Young Harris, the Warren area, Warren, North Carolina. But Lane's dad preached for over 40 years, and he preached in a lot of these churches that we're talking about in North Georgia and North Carolina as well. But he was of Baptist faith, and he lived up I think he was like 74 years old when he passed, but he preached for over 40 years in these churches, you know, and he was a welder. He did a welder. He was a certified welder, and he welded a lot on the state bridges here in the area. And he taught Lane good work ethics as well. Taught him how to weld, of course, and just helped him learn to mechanic and do things. He was a handyman. He could do anything he set his mind to.
Did he encourage you?
He did. Yes, he did. Very much so. And Lane had his own business and worked for many, many years doing underground drilling and boring. And he worked all over the Southeast with his business. And, you know, I'd go with him occasionally to some of the different cities or different states just to travel some. But I was, you know, working here at the Fairgrounds, and it was hard for me to get off and go, especially as years went by. You know, we started having a lot more events here, and he'd always say, he said, "We can't ever go anywhere on the weekends because you always have to work." And I said, "Well, we're in the entertainment business, so you have to work."
You have to.
And the weekends is when everybody wants to come see us. So
Yeah.
it was a busy time, and still is a busy time. But I don't have any children, and I'm able to give a lot more of my time to the Georgia Mountain Fair simply because I don't have children, and I don't, you know, have a husband. I don't have anybody that I have to take care of. So I don't know many people that would be in the situation that I'm in, that they could dedicate their whole life to the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds.
Well, and thank God that you have a job you love so much, because becoming a young widow is no fun.
No, it's not. I was 49 years old when Lane died, and it's been a great job for me to keep me busy, and enjoyed people, and I love people. I love talking with people, and I've made a lot of friendship and a lot of lifetime friendships with our campers and people that's visited here to the concerts. And not only that, I've been out in the community and got a lot of volunteers that has been so wonderful to help the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds with all these events, because there's no way possible that we could do all we do with just a small staff that I have here. And I appreciate my employees so much, but you have to have a lot of volunteers, and it's been a great friendship and working relationship with all these people that we have begun to know.
I think one of the things I love about here is there's always a little history of the people who went before you, because as we were walking down to the lake yesterday, we noticed a bench in honor of your husband.
Yeah.
And then we noticed another bench in honor of your husband. And then we noticed a bench in honor of a tailor. Is that one of your relatives?
Yes. We have, my sister has a bench up there, Phyllis Taylor Bell, and then there's also one or two up there with my husband, Lane Thomason. It's just all our friends here in the community, and the friends that me and him together have made here at the Fairgrounds, or just out in the community. He had a real outgoing personality and liked to have fun and really enjoyed people as well. And they wanted to do something when he passed, and they wanted to get a bench. Well, there's so many people wanting to help, then we ended up having enough money to buy 2 benches, and we needed benches in the yard at all times. So that was what we've done with the money and put the benches down there, and people can enjoy that today.
Well, I laughed because I sat down with Lane Thomason yesterday because my knee was killing me after that walk. So I sat on both of Lane's benches.
Well, that's nice to have those beaches down there.
Yes, it was.
It's so pretty too, and those it was of you in the mountains thing. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and it's a nice way to remember people.
Yeah.
We do the same thing out here on the fairgrounds. Inside the fairgrounds, people need to sit down too when the fair's going on and all of our events. So we still have people buying benches and putting them inside the fairgrounds. We don't put any more in the gardens because we got enough up there, but we are doing some other things up there in the garden if you want to remember somebody and get with Catherine, and she's happy to help you and tell you what different projects we're doing up there for people that want to just be remembered. You know,
it was so quiet there and just sitting there, and I was videoing the lake, and I was watching a boat go by, and I was videoing Bell Mountain. And then all of a sudden, I heard all this noise coming through the woods, and it was about 6 people, and they were laughing and carrying on and just having the best time. And they got down there, and they said, "Oh, I bet you were enjoying the quiet." I said, "Yeah," but I said, "Come on down." And it was a family just taking a walk through Hamilton Gardens. Yeah.
You would be surprised how many people still go through that garden year round, even though nothing is blooming. There's still a lot of people that enjoy walking through that. It's
beautiful.
Yeah. It is beautiful. And a lot of people I know locally here in Towns County, they go up there every morning and walk through the gardens for their daily walk. Mm-hmm. I don't know of anything any prettier. And the birds singing and the water and the mountains year round. And it's open year round. I mean, you can go anytime you want to from daylight till dark.
There were a lot of deer tracks yesterday.
Yes, I'm sure they were. We've had bear run through the gardens and through the campground before. I've actually seen a bear swim across the lake out there in the campground. And then, of course, we've had a fox up there that had a den and had little babies. We've just had just about everything. A deer. There's plenty of deer and squirrels and rabbits and turkey. We've had turkey here. So, yeah, the wildlife is definitely here. That's for sure.
It's beautiful. And, I always tell people it's not that far. I mean, even from Atlanta, it's not that far to County, and it's a beautiful drive.
Oh, it's a gorgeous drive, and it's so pretty when you get to the mountains. There's something about the mountains that are so peaceful and so quiet, and it's just different from the city. Even though our town is growing a lot and the traffic has gotten a lot worse than what it used to be, but it's still just something about it that gives you that peaceful feeling when you get here and relax a little bit and just enjoy what we have to offer.
Do you think Towns County is aware of what happened when the Georgia Mountain Fair grew? It gave the county, the city, a boost that they could never have received any other way.
Oh, no, I think there's a lot of people in this county have no idea what the Georgia Mountain Fair has accomplished over the years to help this county, bringing all these people in here and keeping our property taxes down, and they're buying property. When they come to the Georgia Mountain Fair, they get out here and look for property. The sales tax, the amount of sales tax that we create here in Towns County, not just the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds, but all the businesses that have all the business from the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds that create a lot of sales tax. And then the Towns County CVB, I got a report just a couple of weeks ago on the hotel and motel tax. And last year, our county received $563,000 in hotel and motel tax. And 90% of that is because of the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds. And then this year, I've got a report on this year already, and the year's not over yet, but we've already, the county has already received $489,000 in hotel and motel tax. That's huge for our little county. And that is, most all of that is created from all the activities I have here at the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds, and the concerts, the festivals, the special events. I mean, that fills up all the hotels and the restaurants and everything around here. I mean, just the other night when I had the Marshall Tucker band here, it got canceled at 4:15, and we had 1,800 tickets sold. Well, the gates opened at 6 o'clock, and there's no way that I could have gotten a hold of all those people, even though I got it on social media immediately, and we sent out an email blast. But people were already here, checked in the hotels. A lot of them were sitting at the restaurants having dinner before the show started. And it was just total chaos for a little while because I had to have all my security guards stand up here under the parking shed to tell people, what had happened. But it was something that was beyond anybody's control. They had COVID. The band, 2 band members, and one of them was the lead singer, had COVID, and they were so sick, and they kept thinking that they were going to get better and they could not get well enough to be able to perform for 2 hours. But at 4:15, they had to call it, and they said that they just weren't able to even get out of their bunks. on the buses that they were here on. So they were here, and then they had to cancel Sunday night's concert as well. But we rebooked them, and they're going to be here January the 10th, which is not that far off. And
Right.
we're asking everybody that can and wants to come back for the show to keep their tickets, and we'll honor them. And then the ones that have to get a refund that can't come back, then they just need to contact the Georgia Mountain Fair, and we give them 10 days to do that. So.
And it was something that couldn't be stopped. You know, the night that we interviewed Earl Thomas Conley, he had a temperature of 104, and his whole band had the flu. As I remember, he was so gracious to do that interview because he was one city boy.
That's happened over the years with several of the entertainers. Don Williams actually got here one year, and he got checked into the Chateau Lodge, and he couldn't even stand up on his bus so week. He had bronchitis, and he had to cancel it that day at 11 o'clock that day. So, of course, again, you can't get a hold of that many people. And it's sold out, 2,900 people. So it was definitely total chaos.
Yeah.
But people are real good to understand, and they know people get sick, and it's beyond anybody's control. So you just have to work through it and do the best you can. I mean, you have a few people that just don't understand, and they're so upset. And I was upset, I really we did follow through with the show.
You're right.
I already had my caterer there. We even went through the sound check. I had my sound engineers there. We had security there. We had stagehands there. It was a lot of expense to the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds not to be able to have a concert. So it's just things that happen in life, and it's beyond your control.
Well, in the next few days, you open, I think, one of the best things you've done, the Christmas lights, because it's something for families to enjoy.
Yes, it is something for families to enjoy. We have the Mountain Country Christmas and Lights that will open Thanksgiving night, and we have added some things to it this year. It's going to be really, really pretty. We've got a lot more lights. We've got something new this year, the camel rides and the pony rides. And, of course, we'll have train rides, and we've got real nice hot apple cider and all kinds of nice fancy drinks that you can walk around and drink. You can roast your hot dogs over the fire and make s'mores. And then down in the exhibit hall, we've moved Santa Claus in down there this year, and it's just going to be beautiful. I mean, people have got to come out and see this and come with their families. And if everything goes good and it's looking like the weather's going to be good, Thanksgiving weekend, that is a huge weekend for us. We should probably have at least 5,000 people here during that time. And I think that's a good kickoff to have it open on Thanksgiving night, because all these families come into town, and after their Thanksgiving meal with their families and everything, they want to get out and come to the lights and bring everybody, and let the kids see Santa and just see all the beautiful lights and the displays. And if you don't feel like walking through, or you can't walk through, we have golf carts out there, and I have drivers, and they can take them through on the golf carts. So there's plenty ways to get around if you're unable to walk, but it is beautiful. It really is.
Now, when you had that vision, you had to go to Towns County and get a little bit of help from financing, because it was very expensive to do those lights.
Oh, yes, it was. We didn't have anything going on here in Towns County in the wintertime. And so I had been thinking about it for, quite some time. And I went to the commissioner and talked to the commissioner about it. And I told him, I said, we need something going on in the wintertime to bring people to the mountains. I said, we just don't have anything, And I said, we need to think about this. And I told him, I said, I have an idea. And it was the Mountain Country Christmas and Lights. And I said, we need a light show to bring people here and bring the tourists into town and help the businesses. And he liked my idea, and he believed in me enough to give me money to get it started with. He gave me $150,000 to get started. And then he added to that sum over the years. And we have accomplished a lot. Of course, the fairs put a lot into it. We bought some of the big displays, and there's a lot of repairs each year that you have to do. But we've continued with that with the commissioner that we have now, and we've got a train. He bought the train for us a couple of years ago, and the kids absolutely love the train rides. And we use that, like at Halloween, or we use it during the Christmas parade, whatever we want to do it. But that's something that has been a nice addition to it. And then we bought other displays, and we bought a big wall and tunnel and just different ones over the years that we've added to. But yes, it came from the county, from the hotel and motel tax that we created. And so we've been able to keep the price low for families that can bring their families and enjoy it and not have to charge so much. But it's just a great tourism attraction in the wintertime for the hotels and the restaurants, and to bring people up here.
And you're also going to do something New Year's Eve.
Yes, we are. We have done this for the last several years. We have a big fireworks show here on New Year's Eve. We don't have a concert, but we'll have that. We'll have some vendors out here, have food and hot chocolate and drinks and everything. So come out and enjoy all the fireworks, and we'll shoot fireworks off the ball field down here, and just really enjoy New Year's. I mean, and we have had concerts in the music hall on New Year's Eve. I had Blackberry Smoke here one year, and it completely sold out. But it's almost impossible to have a concert and then have fireworks, because I had to have the parking lot for the concert, and then the fireworks brings in it'll fill the parking lot up. It'll be like the 4th of July, and I think you were out. We were here.
Yes.
It's unbelievable how many people come out for fireworks on New Year's Eve. They love it. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be an attraction to bring some more people to the county.
And you know what happens after the first, don't you? All of a sudden the phones start ringing and all the campsites are taken.
Yes. We started our camping reservations the first working day in November for people that wanted to stay a month or more. So that was a busy 2 or 3 days doing all that. And then the first working day in January, we start taking reservations for any event or any kind of special holiday, or just any reservations less than 30 days. So yes, we will be busy.
Now, is this week, Thanksgiving week, you've got a lot of campers coming in?
Yes, we're full for Thanksgiving weekend. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
That's crazy.
And then a lot of people make reservations and come for Christmas. We'll be full again for the Christmas holidays. And what's so cool about it, if the weather's decent, they get out there and they're building big fires, and they bring their families and they cook their Thanksgiving lunch out there, or dinner, or whatever you're going to do, and smoke their turkey on the grills or the smokers, and just have a really good time out here in the outdoors. And of course the lake's down now, but it's still pretty.
Still beautiful.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this to you, I think, the other day about the eagles. We got several eagles here on the lake now, and it is so pretty to sit out there, and they'll dive down and get fish and get some really good pictures of them. They got some nest, I think, pretty close by. But yes, we try to entertain year round. We don't slow down much. We're trying to book concerts for next year, and working on trying to get the fair booked and the fall festival, and really no slow time anymore. It's year round.
Is there ever a day that Hilda just says, I'm going to relax? What do you do for you to relax?
Well, when I relax, I like to go to the spa. I want to be treated really nice. So I try to go and just spend a day at the spa. And then like yesterday, I had yesterday off, and I went to Gainesville and got my nails done. And then I like, cooking. I love to cook. It makes me happy. And I love good food, and I enjoy that as a relaxation as well, even though it's hard work, but I do enjoy it. And then I like to go outdoors and go hiking and get outdoors and go to the state parks, or just travel and see different new sites. I like historic sites, just something to get away, from the busy schedule here at the fairgrounds, and let my mind clear just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes.
And the towns around us, I can think of at least 5 of the towns around us that have beautiful old courthouses.
Yes.
One photographer's dream.
I know, it is. It's really, I love looking at those old buildings like that. It's so nice. And then I plan to go to the fair conventions coming up. It's all the fairs in the United States plus Canada. That's going to be in Denver, Colorado coming up. We're leaving November the 30th, which is this Sunday. I'll go get my clothes packed. I hadn't even had time to think about it. So we'll leave November the 30th and go to Denver for the fair convention. And then I'll fly out of Denver to Nashville to see, we're going to the Ryman Auditorium to see the Mavericks. It's a group that I've never seen in concert. And we're going to go visit Nashville for a couple of days, and then we'll fly back to Atlanta. So that'll give me a little bit of a break. And then I'm going down to Tybee Island December the 18th through the 21st. So that'll give me a few days to get away and just relax and think about Hilda's time.
That's right. That's right. And then you're never just thinking about Hilda, because like going to Nashville, you'll be looking for new talent for here.
I'm scouting talent for the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And, I'm, like I said, I'm already booking a lot of shows and getting things put together. But, you're always wanting to see new things, new music, new everything, just to see if there is something out there that you're missing. You can't slow down, because somebody else will get it before you do if you don't work at it. So, yes, that's very important to get out and scout the music and all.
If you look at the one thing that you did that was risky here at the fair, what's the most successful?
The most successful thing we've ever done is the year that I had Josh Turner when the Long Black Train just came out. And I went to Nashville the year before and booked him, because I always book talent in November for the following year. And I was meeting with my promoter, and we were talking about Josh Turner. And I thought, that might be good. His voice is really good, deep, sound like Randy Travis. And he had one hit, and that was the Long Black Train. It came out after I booked him. and I got him for $12,500. Well, that next year it had just come out, and we had our paid attendance that day. Our gate chairman told me, he said, Hilda, our paid attendance that day was a little over 10,000 people. Paid attendance for Josh Toyle. You couldn't walk around here, and the state patrols was down at the highway trying to direct traffic, and they had to cut the traffic off coming in here because there was no place to park, and they got campgrounds full. They had the parking lot full. Is on the side of the roads, and they were parked all the way out here on 76, all the way back out looking towards Jane Harris, parked on the side of the road, walking to the fairground. And it was unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Never seen anything like that, and I've not seen anything like that since. But I'm paying $12,500 that year for the fair, which was huge, the attendance. And then the next year I brought him back in concert for a hard ticket, and he was $40,000.
Oh my God.
Well, I had him this year at the Georgia Mountain Fair, or not at the fair. I had him he was here for the fall festival, and he was 65,000, I think, this year. So, the prices go up.
Yeah, at least 5 times what you got it for the first time.
Yeah. So that was a really, really successful day when I had Josh Turner here. The Lone Black Train had just come out, and it really made him like a superstar, Yeah. And we felt like superstars too.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I look back at all the people you brought here, you gave people opportunities to see super good talent in a great location.
Yes, we did, Sherry. We have had just about everybody that's ever been in the country music world and bluegrass gospel come through the Anderson Music Hall and at the old high school grounds as well. But when we had like Reba McEntire, and we had Kenny Chesney, and we had Toby Keith, and we had Alan Jackson and George Strait, we were paying them like $10,000 to be here. Now look at Reba McEntire now. Look at George Strait. And I remember when we had 9/11, when that happened, I had Toby Keith booked here for 2 shows. Now he had a 6:30 and a 9:30 show, and both of them were sold out. And I paid him $40,000 for 2 shows. And then the same thing with Kenny Chesney and Trisha Yearwood and Martina McBride. I could just go on and on with the different ones that we've had like that. And Conway Twitty and Loretta. I mean, we have had them all, really. We truly have. And we had them before they got so big. Of course, we can't afford Reba McEntire now. Our building,
Right.
She wouldn't even fit on our stage.
Isn't that crazy? Well, can you show that photo that this lady who did the MC at your 75th anniversary did this picture, and I can remember I was up here that day. That is so beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's Anderson Bridge out here, and it's Bob Anderson. The bridge is named after Bob Anderson, who was the president of the Georgia Mountain Fair for many, many years. And there was a rainbow. It was just perfect. It was the day we celebrated
Perfect. Yeah.
the 75 years of the Georgia Mountain Fair.
Well, one of the things that I really, really loved about being here that night was that they paid tribute to you. Because
yes, they did.
If you had not had the vision, had the guts, because it took guts to do some of the things you've done. And I'm sure sometimes you shook your head and thought, what was I thinking?
Right. There's been a few times like that for sure.
Yeah.
And you never know when you're booking this entertainment. It's a gamble anytime you sign a contract on these concerts, because you don't know if they're going to sell or not. It's just a gamble and a chance that you take. But thank God the Lord has blessed us, and we've been very blessed here at the fairgrounds and had some great concerts and some great years here at the Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds.
And what you've done for Towns County, not just Towns County, but all the surrounding counties.
Yeah.
And a county coming out of Georgia where people leave Florida and drive all the way up here.
Oh, yeah. Just the other night, whenever this happened with Marshall Tucker Band, a lady, she said she drove 3 hours to come to see Marshall Tucker Band. And she got a room at Lake Chateaugue Lodge, but she was so disappointed that she didn't get to see Marshall Tucker as she drove 3 hours to get here, So, yeah, they come from everywhere, and a lot of different states as well. I mean, people, and they love our venue. That's another thing. When they come, they just think it's one of the most wonderful venues because there's not any bad seats in the building. You can see it from out there, and you can camp, and you just walk right over to the fairgrounds.
And the other thing is they feel they're in almost a safety zone, because this is just a good community.
It is a great community, and they do feel safe, and you are safe. And I think that it has a lot to do with in this day and time, the way the world is. I really do.
Yeah. Now, if folks want to get to know the Georgia Mountain Fair, what's the best way to come for a vacation, a daycation, a staycation? What do you recommend?
Well, I always go to my website or to the Georgia Mountain Fair website. It's GeorgiaMountainFairgrounds.com, or you can always give us a call. We're open 7 days a week. we have to be open because of the campground. And in the wintertime, we don't open on Saturdays and Sundays. We cut back a little bit, but we're still open Monday through Friday. But you can give us a call at 706-896-4191 or go to our website, like I said, GeorgiaMountainFairgrounds.com. We're happy to answer any questions and help you anytime.
And I can assure you there's something for everybody, every age bracket.
Yes, there is something to do all the time for all ages. And we just try harder and harder to keep adding things all the time, and it makes it nice to have new events and new changes and all.
Well, congratulations again on 75 years of a very successful run. 44 years now, you've done it. When you decide to let the reins go, are you going to be able to walk out that door one day?
I hope so. I mean, I really think I need a little bit of retirement time, but I'm so thankful that it is where it is, and people have been able to enjoy it for 75 years. That's quite an accomplishment to be able to say that we've been in business for 75 years. And I know some of my board members said out there the night we were celebrating 75 years, said, "Would you ever thought, Hilda, when we started the fair in 1950, before I was even born, that we would still be going and rocking this place like we're doing?" I mean, that's a lot, but
It's amazing.
it's took a lot of people, like I said, a lot of volunteers, our Georgia Mountain Fairgrounds staff and crew to make all this happen. There is no way one person can come in here and handle all this. So it takes a special person to do what I've done. I'm not saying anything good about Hilda, but I'm just saying it takes a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, and being able to get along with people and just really working hard to make it successful.
Yeah. And one of the coolest things I love what you've done is to offer an opportunity for children to look back in the past.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think that's one of my favorite things is to go into the just go through those halls and look at the tools and the old way of life and things that children don't even know about today.
They have no clue, and it is an educational program for them. And just like when the school kids come down here on field trips for the fall festival, the teachers will take them through Pioneer Village out there, and they give them paper and a pencil, and they give them like 10 questions, and they have to answer those questions about, like in the old mountain home, you got a feather bed in there, and you got a fireplace you have to cook on. You have them old pots and pans in there, and you got the fireplace is what your heat was, no electricity. They had oil lamps. Those kids had never experienced anything like that. And that one room schoolhouse out there, all the grades went in that one room, and had school, and they have no clue about anything like that. And it's good for them to learn that. And then just like the old mercantile store out there, they had the drugstore and the grocery store and pot-bellied stove in there. And that store was actually used over in LJ, Georgia. It's called the Tabor Mercantile Store. And it was brought here to the fairgrounds. But just like the board splitting and the quilting and the sawmilling and all that, the sawmilling, that's how they made their buildings. They sawed their own lumber, to build their houses. And the board splitting where you did the shingles, you made the shingles. That's how they put the roofs on the house, And
can you imagine a child today going to a well and drawing up a bucket of water?
I can't imagine. They wouldn't even know where to start at with it. And the quilting, they had to make those quilts to stay warm, and the art of quilting is really special. And those kids, they have never experienced anything like that, and probably never will. And just like the moonshine making, the white liquor, families did that to raise
feed their family.
Yeah, to raise them, and to clothe them and feed them, and just the art of making moonshine. I mean, it's our heritage, So
one of my favorite things as a kid was to use a wringer washing machine.
Yes, I loved it. We used to have to help our mother do that, and we'd stand there and put those clothes through that wringer washer.
Yeah, it was crazy, and I look back now.
A living ring. We'd bring it out and put it in the living room and wash in the living room.
Oh my gosh! Well, we had it on the back porch, but I can just remember that being a fun memory. Yeah.
The kids wouldn't even know what we was talking about, would they?
No. Well, we want to invite people to come to the Georgia Mountain Fair, come to Hamilton Gardens, come year round, because there's never a time there's not something going on.
That's true. We have something going on most all the time. And if we don't have a concert, or if we don't have something in the gardens or whatever, there's still a lot to entertain you here at the fairgrounds or here in our county. There's lots to do and enjoy the lake and the mountains and hiking and being outdoors and enjoying nature.
And going to Bell Mountain.
Yes.
Going to Bell going to Bell Shopping.
It's a great place to go. The view up there, it's like a 360-degree view, and you can just see everywhere up there. It's so pretty. And you can look down on our beautiful town, our beautiful county.
And to your employees, they're the best. They are the best.
They are. They do a great job here. They've been working so hard trying to get all these lights and displays up, and now I've got them decorating the stage for the Oak Ridge Boys Christmas concert that's coming up December the 5th. So they don't never get to slow down much either. I mean, it's just, we just all work together like family.
And that's what it is. Yeah, it's one big family that says, welcome home, welcome to the mountains, and come and get to know the mountain life.
That's exactly right.
That's right. Well, thank you for doing this, and thank you for being you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me. Yep.